All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob at Smirking Gun Reviews, and we're doing something different because we're live. I am still not feeling good, and I wanted to get Ozark done, but unfortunately, I wasn't going to be able to do like an episode-to-episode review, which is what I really wanted to do. So I'm really disappointed that I'm not going to be able to give each episode the time it deserves, but I also didn't want to have to worry about running out of time on my camera. So I decided to do this live. So even if nobody watches right now, it'll be the full length that I want it to be. And I am still sick. I am heavily medicated, so this could be a fun little ride if everybody wants to see, likes watching train crashes, car crashes, whatever. See, it's already going off the rails. Anyway, so yes, this is for Ozark Season 2. I did reviews of episode 1 and 2 already, and I just finished watching episode 10 a few minutes ago. And I gotta say something about this just right now, is that when Netflix first came out, this whole thing with, where you could watch every episode, is available to you right away. Since it was different, it was great. But now years later, and I just can't do this binge shit anymore. I want to stretch things out. I want to enjoy the show a little bit more. It's like Hulu has got a good idea now that they've been putting up like one episode a week. You get anticipation for something, and it gives you time to digest it better. And while it doesn't hurt it doesn't change the quality of the shows that you can watch on Netflix, but it does kind of change your enjoyment of it a little bit for me, and your ability to analyze it when you're reviewing it. So, I would have made every single video if I hadn't gotten sick, and it would have sucked up all the time that I had. But that's okay. But I just think that going forward, man, if I have a choice between binging and not getting a lot of views because I'm not up immediately, then that's just how it's gonna have to be. But in this case, I'm taking a chance. So let's just get started on Ozark Season 2. We're gonna start then with episode 3. I have my tablet here to remind me of everything, because I did watch all these episodes, the last 4 or 5 just today. So we left off on Once a Langmore. So I kind of think that maybe I should just cover the characters a little bit. Okay, so Ruth here, in the trailer for Season 2, it seemed like she was going to be siding against Marty. The part of that trailer was a little out of context. And she does have a lot to grapple with this season. I did say that she always seems like she's about to cry, but she is one of the toughest people on the show. And her dad coming back automatically, right from the get-go, she really doesn't want this guy around. She's trying to change her life for her and her, what I guess they're her cousins. And then just the presence of her dad being around just fucks all that up. And he's, he's just the same as Russ. Except, Russ actually kind of had dreams. Okay. Yeah, all right. Thanks, man. I'm new to that. I've not done a YouTube live thing before, so anybody that comments, that was actually a pretty big surprise. I didn't remember reading the thing. Yeah, so there are full spoilers in this. Mostly, I try to be just stream of consciousness. So if I accidentally say something, it's just no full spoilers for everything right now. But I do like that Ruth's arc still stuck with less with how to figure out if she was gonna take out Marty, and more how she can try to keep her dad away from messing up her life. Because she, with killing Russ and Wyatt, the hardest part about that whole thing, I rename my comic book reviews to include the titles of people who search for them. Yeah. Well, I haven't been able to do a comic book review in a while because of financial problems. Not problems. I just don't have a lot of money to do comic book reviews right now. All right, you know what? If you're watching this and it says Ozark season 2, whatever, like, this is what happens when you don't have good technology. And dropping things on the ground. Medicated, dropping things on the ground. Trying to review a show that you just finished watching. So to continue with Ruth's story, holding onto the guilt of killing Russ and Boyd is a thing that is a through line through this with Wyatt and everything, and trying to keep him in line. So she's taken on so much that no wonder she always looks like she wants to cry, because she may be tough, but I mean, holding her little family together while her dad just decides that he's gonna just do whatever he wants. And speaking of him, okay, as I'm watching the season and I put a clock on his life, I was like, when is he gonna die? And I'm surprised, you know, because here we are, like I said, if you're watching this, full spoilers, that he gets popped at the end. It took him 10 episodes to kill this guy. But during that, I realized, man, he must have watched Sling Blade like a lot, because he is doing like a pretty much like, what if Billy Bob Thornton's character in Sling Blade wasn't mentally challenged? Because he's just like, through the whole show, just like, I just kept waiting for him to say mustard and biscuits. But yeah, I mean, he and Darlene Snell, they should have shacked up together and like ran away together, because they're just so annoying. But I was also right about Darlene being the liability in that family. Speaking of the Snells, I kept calling the Snells the Langmores last video, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, the Langmores now are basically done, except for the kids. All the adults are dead. With the Snells, again, they were on borrowed time. The whole not being able to, you know, live in the now. You know, you can blame that Marty getting them involved got them all, you know, where they are now, but they weren't good characters to begin with. I mean, Jacob's cool. I like the actor that plays Jacob. He's also on Westworld and stuff. But Darlene was such a liability, and it was a little too telegraphed what was going to happen with her. You knew, like, going into the end of the episodes, that she was going to be the one to live. And how did they all live through that Mexican shooting gallery? Seriously. Is this going to happen like every couple of minutes now? In most movies, and in probably real life, if a Mexican cartel tries to kill you with surrounding you with guns, blasting your car, and only one of you gets shot, the driver's still driving, she's fine, Jacob just takes one round in the shoulder, that's it? That just seemed like, I mean, come on, that would have been great if that was the end of them. And not because I just wanted them dead, which I did. I mean, that would have been fitting. You know, they have this last little moment and it's just done. But no, I mean, and even if one of them lived, fine, but they should be fucked up. And her, you know, them showing the flashback of her, Jacob and Darlene, I don't know. I guess that was just to see how she was always wild and that he was always kind of, you know, the reason in there, you know, like the one who could see things clearly right from the get-go. And you knew that he was not going to live. Like I knew when they were going out there that it was just being telegraphed, that we're supposed to think he's going to get the drop on her. But I mean, you can tell by the look in her face that she knows she's going out there to die. And so she just kills him first. Plus, you knew it was going to be from the coffee because she poisoned all the heroin from before. So I'm just surprised that they're keeping her around for another, you know, and if they pick it up for another season, which I don't see why they wouldn't, but stranger things have happened. This is bugging the hell out of me. There we go. So that's with Darlene. So she got the kid, which, to be honest with you, it's just kind of I knew that that's where once the baby was in the picture, you knew that somehow Darlene was going to end up with that kid. Speaking of the kid, though, you got Mason. So, and it almost feels like as soon as you knew Mason was back in this show for in this season, that his clock was only a matter of time before he lost the baby, before he ended up having to give it to somebody else, namely, which I meant is Darlene. Um, and his is a really tragic story. I do like that, when he kidnaps Wendy, and their moments together are pretty intense and pretty, a lot of the speeches are great. And neither person's really wrong about what they say, but in the end, the birds came to town and ruined their lives. So it's like, they can try to rationalize all they want about what they're doing, but really, everybody has a choice. Yeah, you did too, to come there and ruin people's lives because, you're saving your own life. It's all about self-preservation. So, I mean, if you can look past all that, then sure, the birds are fine. They're not your average family, and that's not the point of it all. Like to be whether or not you like them 100% or not. But Mason's story is just a tragic one, and you got to blame the writers. If you don't like what happened to this character, you got to blame the writers and the people who created the show, because Mason is just written to be one of those kind of characters who just loses everything. So you can have somebody to like always go, remember Mason, remember him and his wife and the kid. Yeah, in a story like this, they always try to put something on so that have one part of that story so you can always go look to it to go, that's where they were bad, really bad. That's where they really did something that they can't come back from. And Mason, and he basically committed suicide by cop with when he took the Wendy with the screwdriver. He knew he didn't want to live any further, and he didn't want Marty to help him. And with the baby situation, I just wanted them to find a family for that baby so quick. Whether it was, I didn't even care if it was with Darlene, because I just can't. Every scene with the baby, there's always crying. I can't stand that. Sorry. I just babies in TV shows and pregnancies on TV shows and births on TV shows just annoy me. Every show has to have one. Every show has to have like some birth and screaming babies and everything. And I'm so done with kids. Speaking of kids, at least Jonah continues with his good arc. I like that he just keeps learning and getting smarter. He's pretty much his dad's son. And how resourceful he is, using the Michael Fleming passport to, start his own money laundering corporation a little bit, just tiny, but like, you could see where the brains in that family went, because Charlotte doesn't seem to have any. And even in first season, you could say that she was the weak link in the family. That's not her fault. It's not the actress's fault. Again, you have to blame the writers. The writers chose so the actress is doing great, but what they're giving her is somebody in that family, I guess, had to be, somebody that would kind of drag them down, and you didn't want it to be Laura Linney, you didn't want it to be Jason Bateman, and the kid was kind of cool with the way he was hanging out with Buddy and stuff like that. So, hello. Oh, hey. Okay, hey, I know who that is. Yeah, I'm doing this live, kiddo. Anyway, oh wow, that just like kind of threw me off. Okay, so like with Jonah and his Buddy and everything, like he has a really good arc, but unfortunately for Charlotte, all she got to do was hang out with Wyatt, smoke pot, steal 10 grand that she splits with her brother, and then decides she wants to get emancipated. She really got nothing, and it kind of sucks for her, because I've already heard comments about how much they hate her on the show, and it's like, yeah, but it's not her fault. That's the writers. They chose to take her in that direction. So hopefully next year, if there is a next year, which, I hate the way they do the end credits here, where they take a snapshot and they do that slow fade to black, like, if this is goodbye forever, then we kind of went out with this like question mark, will the show be back kind of situation, because this kind of has an end, but there's definitely the potential, with the mob blowing up the office and stuff at the end. and that they're not going to run. And Darlene still got the kid, and they found Petty's car. So speaking of Petty, that's a perfect name for him, Roy Petty, because he did a lot of petty shit. Even, and I still can't quite get my brain wrapped around how hardcore he had it for them. Because yes, I get it. Your mom is addicted to drugs, so you would hate drug dealers. But to do the things that Roy does, you've got something wrong with you, man. He's got something seriously wrong with him. He's a sociopath, like giving drugs to your CIs, and what else? Sleeping with your CIs, inventing fake, futures with your CIs, and shooting up bars, and just everything. So when he goes out there fishing, like later on with Cade, what was he thinking was going to happen? You're out there with a felon who does not give a crap about nothing, and you start insulting him. It's like, yeah, you're gonna end up taking a freaking fishing tackle box to the head a bunch of times and get drowned out there, way down in the middle of the lake. I do like the actor that played him, but because he was just such a frustrating villain. That's one of the things about this whole season was it was frustratingly, I was always anxious and frustrated because it just never let up. Like the first season had that whole we got to survive each day, but it just seemed like after the first couple of episodes there was like no forward progress. It was just like everything just seemed to be how are they ever going to do anything, and that kind of bugged me at the end when things just kind of tied up neatly all of a sudden, because they piled on so much in this season that it just became unbearable to almost watch, where I was like going, oh God. Like the performances are good, the overall story's good, but it's like after a while, how do you dig yourself out of that hole without, they just kind of click their, snap their fingers, Thanos style, and they're like, oh, everything's fixed. And I know it wasn't that simple, but it just seemed to like wrap up really quickly and then go, okay, now we have a few other little problems that we'll have to deal with that'll escalate next year. Let's talk about Helen. Okay, so it took me it took like 3 or 4 episodes for me to realize that's the actress who played Jessica Jones's mom. It was the hair. The eyes is what I was like, where have I seen her before? It's those crazy eyes. And I didn't really like Jessica Jones season 2 that much. It was okay. It wasn't as good as season 1, but I mean, how do you go from, the Purple Man to Jessica's mom being the villain? It was all right. But and the actress is good at doing that, but she creeps me out. So she's effective on this show as the creepy lawyer. And you never meet the head of the cartel, which leads, so that's a season 3 type of thing probably. I kind of kept going, maybe she's the head of the cartel somehow, but no, she's white. But I kept thinking there's something more to her than we know, more than that they're saying about her. But who knows? I like the way she plays throughout this whole thing. Just no nonsense, but she really does want these things to work out. Let's see who else. Well, Rachel. Okay, so she did come back, and poor Rachel getting used by Petty. I felt like the scenes with her and Ruth were just kind of a little too forced. Like, oh, they're back again. Oh, wonder which one's gonna maybe say something about Marty. And some of the stuff that happened in here with Marty, it just seemed a little off, like the character wouldn't act this way, but maybe that's just me. I felt like he was definitely off. And this is before the whole thing with Mason getting killed and all that. It just seemed like he wasn't as quick and savvy as he always is. He's always still sarcastic and on point with the sarcasm and stuff. But I don't know. Bateman just kind of seemed to be, I don't know. Maybe that's just the way the character was supposed to be this season. Because Laura Linney, they upped her game like huge this season. And I've always liked her, and I was glad that they gave her so much to do. And oh my God, does she do a lot, especially with the politics and the wheeling and dealing. And by the end, she's kind of taken over the family. that Marty has kind of become like the one who is not really wanting to do this, the kind of more reluctant one. They're both reluctant, but she's kind of taking more of the lead now, where she's willing to, step up and do some shady stuff with, like the whole thing with Ruth's dad, and all that, and just, doing the back dealings with the politicians and stuff. Like, she really got her hands dirty this year, and it was pretty. I love seeing Laura Linney do it. She can go a gamut of emotions, like all over the place. If I haven't really, let's see, I'm going to check the list here of episodes. So I did like the whole hunting scene with Jacob and everybody, where he kills his first buck and they make this whole thing about, death in that episode. Buddy, Harris Yulin in this. Okay, so yeah, he was all right in the first season. He was pretty good. In this season, he gets so much more to do, and it really sucked that he had to die off. It would have been cool if he had lasted the full second season, but they did give him a lot to do, and his death was important to the show when he went out. Finding more out about him, about what he was doing in Detroit and the whole Teamsters thing, and his connections to the Kansas City mob, which is convenient, but whatever. That last part where he, takes down the poppy fields and just gets to do one last thing and enjoy himself and then die quietly in the car, perfect. It was really perfect. I was really happy to see him go out like that. He got all good moments with just about everybody in the family. And he is going to be missed. Like, he's that character in the show that you just go, oh man, once that character's gone, you've lost something, a lot of something that they won't be able to replace. The whole thing with them hiring her ex-real estate agent guy to run the strip club, who immediately falls in love with a stripper. I thought that was going to blow up in their face. Like, I thought this was purposely a storyline to put in there so that she could scam him. And maybe it'll be something down the future, but it's just like immediately he falls in love with a stripper. And I thought that's going to end badly. And then all of a sudden, just nothing happened with it. In fact, nothing happened with that character really at all, except he got popped in the face with a gun. I mean, he got, smashed in the face by Ruth's dad. So I kind of thought there was going to be more there, but they didn't really give him anything to do. Let's see, game day. The whole thing with Roy, constantly in those middle episodes, trying to pit everybody against each other, was so maddeningly frustrating. Because I know they have to build the tension up, and they know they want to keep you like glued and want you to figure out how they're going to get out of it. But like I said, it felt like it was just piling on and piling on, to the point where it just was like something they just had to write in, like line of dialogue, like like in the prequels, the Star Wars prequels, where it's like, how are they going to explain C-3PO knowing all this stuff? And they just throw in the line, just have the protocol droid's memory erased. And this, all they do is they just kill somebody, really, like they put them in a situation where they just take somebody out. That's what I felt about Roy. I felt like when they killed Roy off, it was just one of those situations where, of course, he's going to get killed here. And this is how you get rid of a character that's been frustrating you all this time, is simply to kill him off in a way that you feel like he shouldn't have been taken out. But he was effective as a villain. I love that he can't control his temper. He's always flying out the handle. I like that, even when he thinks he's got it over on everyone, and even, the politicians are the ones that are able to find the real dirt on him. Everybody pulling shit out of their asses this season, as far as like just dirt on each other. It seemed like nobody protected their secrets at all. It feels like the only person who completely protected his secrets was probably Jonah. I think that's the only one that they could never find out who Michael Fleming really was. So, pardon me, head cold starting to kick in a little bit. Outer Darkness, we got One Way Out. Mason goes off the deep end, a big sleep. I did like that Marty getting Rachel out That there was that unspoken affection there, and that Marty has been holding back his feelings a lot, but then he finally, he does something nice and he tries to get her out of there. Um, the whole thing with the Kansas City mob, I hope I guess that's going to be the next big thing is now we got the mob probably versus the cartel. So we had rednecks versus the cartel. That didn't work out for the rednecks. Now we're going to have mob versus the cartel, which probably won't work out for the mob. So it's going to be last man standing. I have a hard time thinking that this show will last more than another year, two tops. I mean, if you really had to push it. And I said, like right away, that this wasn't going to end with them like running away. I think I said that in episode 1 or 2 of this season that that they weren't gonna end up on a beach somewhere. And they almost did, the Gold Coast. So so predictability there. I mean, he had the plans. I like that he had his plans going like a while back. Like he never really planned on them sticking around. So anyway, I feel like I know I'm missing tons and tons of little things in here, but I'm at 26 minutes and I just want to talk a little bit more, just like what did I think of this season? Um, I felt it was a little predictable. Things that happened, like people that you figured are going to die. Mason shows up again. You know that he's a tragic character and there's really not a good way out for him. Cade, Ruth's dad, you knew that like a character like that was like the guy who showed up in season 2 of The Sopranos, the one that was like going out with Janice. You knew that he's just going to be there to step on toes and push people until they couldn't take it anymore and somebody ends up killing him. The Petty, I was a little surprised that they killed, but then because of the way they killed him. And once they started taking these people out, especially Petty, I thought, man, maybe this show's only going to go 2 seasons. And then when they didn't kill Darlene, I was like, man, I thought they were going to kill her too. Like, I kind of thought they were wrapping this show up. And maybe like I said, maybe part of me thinks that this ending, if it doesn't get picked up for a season 3, is why they kind of ended it the way they did. So they could say, well, it ended on a down note, like on this middle of the road. Not everybody gets a happy ending. Not everybody, not all endings are them getting away. Sometimes things are left undone. But I have a feeling they'll be back. But I think that they need to tone down the piling on and try to give us a little bit more character work on like Marty and the kids. Give everybody something more to do than just run around trying to cover their tracks or make a new deal every couple of seconds. But overall, this was a good season. And again, like I said, binge watching kind of makes it less enjoyable and hard to keep straight everything in your head, because you've got like 5 or 6 episodes flying around in your head and you can't keep all those details up. And that's why I wanted to do episode to episode, but right now, like even as I'm getting near the end of this review, my head's starting to spin from the cold medication. So it's like, woo. But yeah, this was good. And maybe when I'm not feeling terrible, I'll go back and do reviews of the each individual episodes. But I wanted to get one full review out for the whole season. So was it as good as season 1? I think that season 1 and season 2 are different animals. I think you got to kind of take it like Breaking Bad was, where each season gives you something different. Because some people would say Breaking Bad's first season was the best season. Some people would say this final season was the best season, or maybe the whole thing. I think season 2 was just as good, but it got frustrating with all the piling on. Bateman only directed like 2 episodes, and they were like the first 2. I would have liked to have seen more of his directing, because I could tell the difference from his directing from the other ones. And not that they were bad or anything. There were some good styles going on in here. And I'll always say I love the way that this show is shot in that kind of muted kind of look. But anyway, I think that is about it. So I want to thank anybody that's watching this live. Again, the only reason I went live with this is so I wouldn't have to worry about a time limit because you're kind of trying to talk about 7 episodes of a show and cover the whole review of it. So anyway, if you liked this video, I really appreciate if you hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. I will be doing Better Call Saul tonight. As soon as that's over with, and then that's about it for me because I'm going to take some more cold medication and lie down and watch probably Jack Ryan and try to maybe get some of those episodes in the can too. So anyway, this is Rob at Smirking Gun Reviews saying thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care. Bye.